You're doing too much, not in the productive way you tell yourself, in the way that's slowly hollowing you out. You optimize your mornings, track your macros, curate your feed, chase experiences you'll photograph but never feel. You've turned your life into a performance, and you're exhausted. Aristotle saw this coming 2,400 years ago. He called it akrasia, the self-destruction that wears the mask of self-improvement. We live in a culture of extremes. You're either grinding or rotting, fasting or binging, building an empire or binge-watching someone else's. There's no middle ground anymore, just opposing addictions we oscillate between. Your Instagram shows productivity. Your browser history shows paralysis. You work yourself into burnout, then collapse into numbness. You restrict until you binge. You save money obsessively, then blow it recklessly. You overshare, then ghost everyone. You're all in or completely out. This isn't discipline. This is chaos pretending to be control. And here's what Aristotle understood that you don't. Every excess is a deficiency in disguise. In the Nicomachean Ethics, Aristotle mapped human behavior like a geometry of the soul. He noticed something. Every virtue sits between two vices. Courage isn't the opposite of cowardice. It's the space between cowardice and recklessness. Generosity isn't the opposite of stinginess. It's the balance between hoarding and wasteful extravagance. Confidence isn't the opposite of insecurity. It's the narrow path between self-loathing and arrogance. He called this the golden mean, the sweet spot where you're actually living instead of reacting. But here's the uncomfortable part. Most of us never find it. We ricochet between the extremes our entire lives, mistaking intensity for meaning, confusing volume for substance. You think you're evolving. You're just oscillating. So why do you keep overshooting? Because moderation doesn't feel like progress. When you're anxious, doing nothing feels like falling behind. So you do everything. You say yes to every opportunity, every social event, every self-improvement trend. You turn your life into a resume. When you're hurt, setting boundaries feels weak. So you cut everyone off. You ghost. You isolate. You tell yourself you're protecting your peace, while you're actually just afraid. When you're insecure about your body, small adjustments feel insufficient. So you swing to extremes, brutal workouts, restrictive diets, or complete surrender to indulgence. The extremes are loud. They make you feel like something's happening. The golden mean is quiet. It whispers. It doesn't trend. And in a world that rewards spectacle over substance, you've been conditioned to ignore it. Your version is different. You're not chained to a wall. You're chained to a screen, watching curated shadows of other people's extremes. The algorithm doesn't reward balance. It rewards outrage, transformation montages, hot takes, before and afters. It shows you the person who quit their job to travel the world, not the quiet person who learned to enjoy their Tuesday. So you compare your middle to everyone else's extremes, and you conclude you're not doing enough. You start chasing their shadows, their routines, their productivity hacks, their aesthetic, and in the process, you abandon your own golden mean, the life that actually fits you. Aristotle would tell you this: the person living well doesn't look extraordinary from the outside. They look normal, steady, unhurried. They don't make viral content. They make breakfast. Let's be honest. Extremes are seductive. Going all in feels like commitment. Cutting everything out feels like clarity. Intensity feels like passion. But Aristotle understood something you've forgotten. Feelings are not facts. The person who works 80-hour weeks isn't more dedicated than the person who works focused 40 seconds and goes home. They're just more afraid of stillness. The person who cuts out sugar, alcohol, gluten, and joy isn't more disciplined. They're just terrified of losing control. The person who overshares every thought and feeling isn't more authentic. They're just outsourcing their self-worth to external validation. Here's the truth. Extremes are easy. The golden mean is hard because it requires you to actually pay attention, to know yourself, to make choices based on your reality, not someone else's highlight reel. It requires self-knowledge, and self-knowledge requires stillness, and you're terrified of being still. So what does this look like in practice? It's not about balance in the Instagram aesthetic sense. It's about calibration. It's eating when you're hungry, stopping when you're full, without making every meal a moral referendum on your worth. It's working hard when it matters, resting deeply when it doesn't, without guilt on either end. It's having opinions without needing everyone to agree with them. It's caring about people without losing yourself in them. It's being alone without being lonely, being social without performing. The golden mean doesn't look impressive. It looks like someone who's stopped fighting themselves, someone who's traded the performance of living for the practice of it. Socrates had one question that cuts through all the noise. Know thyself, not the self you perform for others, not the self you aspire to become, not the self you hate or the self you're pretending to be. The actual self, the one that exists when no one's watching. What do you actually need? Not what the algorithm says you need, not what productivity gurus say. What does your body, your mind, your spirit actually require to function well? Most people never ask this question. They adopt someone else's answer and wonder why it doesn't fit. Your golden mean isn't the same as another person else. It's not one size fits all. It's custom tailored to the specific human you are, your temperament, your circumstances, your season of life. But you'll never find it by copying, only by inquiring. Here's what Aristotle won't tell you. Finding your golden mean means disappointing people. It means saying no to opportunities that look good on paper but feel wrong in your gut. It means stopping the things that make you look productive but leave you empty. It means being less impressive, less extreme, less interesting to people who are addicted to spectacle. It means choosing the life that actually sustains you over the one that gets likes. And that's terrifying, because we've been taught that to matter, we must be extraordinary. But Aristotle would say, ordinary is extraordinary when it's genuinely yours. The person who sleeps well, eats without anxiety, works without burnout, loves without losing themselves. That person is rarer than any influencer. They've found what you're still searching for. So how do you find it? Notice where you overshoot. Where do you consistently go too hard, then collapse? That's your clue. Ask what you're avoiding. Extremes are often escapes. What would you have to feel if you stopped running? Experiment with less. Not as punishment, as curiosity. What happens if you do 70% instead of 120%? Does the world end, or do you finally breathe? Stop performing your life. The golden mean doesn't photograph well. It doesn't trend. And that's exactly why it works. This isn't a quick fix. It's a lifetime practice. But every day you choose calibration over chaos, you get a little more of yourself back. Aristotle knew something you're just beginning to remember. You're not broken. You're just oscillating. And the way out isn't more intensity. It's precision, calibration, the courage to choose what's appropriate instead of what's impressive. The shadows on your screen will keep dancing, but you don't have to keep chasing them. The golden mean is waiting, quiet, unglamorous, and more real than anything you've been performing. The question is, are you ready to stop overdoing life and actually start living it? The truth is uncomfortable.